Hey, I'm Ethan Skolnick. Welcome to the first ever edition of the 5 Reasons PrizePicks Show. You can follow me at 5 Reasons Sports and at Ethan J. Skolnick. I've got David Eversole with me. You can follow him on about 6,000 accounts, including our 5 Reasons YouTube account, which he runs, but also David W. Eversole. And then also we've got our guy David Friedman, who you can follow at Taco Bout Sports. He's the second one there on your screen. We're going to do this one a little bit differently than future episodes because we want to introduce PrizePicks to you, those of you who have not played but have maybe heard us talk about it or tweet about it. We've been playing it here in the network for a few months. The key thing, no matter what we talk about today, is that you got to use the code 5. That's not the number 5, but that's spelled out F-I-V-E. That will get you a bonus, a match, some extra money to play with. So use that code 5, F-I-V-E. Now, the general sort of synopsis of PrizePicks is that this is daily fantasy. So you can play this every single day. You can play it during games. They've got live picks that you can make during the games, and you can play it on pretty much anything. So we're going to focus on NBA here because this is largely an NBA channel. Of course, when we get to NFL season, we'll focus more on NFL, but you can do MLB, you can do MLS, you can do highlight, you can do tennis, you can do horse racing, you can do pretty much anything, and you can also do some of the futures betting right now on the NFL. So if you want to project maybe that Tua will have a better year than, say, I don't know, Joe Burrow, you can go that direction. So there's just about anything that you can do on the app. And so I'm going to introduce these two guys here again, David Eversole, David Friedman. There's some different ways to play PrizePicks. You can play the power play, which means kind of you're all in. You can triple your money, but if you lose, you're not going to get anything, depending on how many combinations you use. Or you can do the flex play, which is you hedge a little bit. So I'll go to both of you guys. We'll sort of tackle that topic today. Which do you prefer, Mr. Friedman?
I think we all like to go for that big 5-for-5 thing. It's way less likely to hit, obviously. So for me, I try to stick to maybe one of those, and I'll throw in like a 2-pick power play to go along with it. I know we're going to get into our picks for today. That's kind of what I'd like to do. I like to go through and see which ones really stand out and at least stick to those two and kind of fill in the blanks from there.
And one of the key things, we were talking about this pre-show, sometimes the picks will change or the numbers will change during the day. So make sure you check the board during the day. They've got the fantasy score, which is a compilation of numbers, of course. If you've played fantasy sports, you understand how this works. And they do have the rules here on the site or on the app that will explain it to you. But also, you can do the single stat categories. If you just want to play points, rebounds, three-pointers, and such. Eversole, what do you prefer to play?
Well, I'm actually big into the single stat because some guys tend to be stronger in one area, a la Trae Young, obviously, as scoring and assists and things like that. But I'm with David on the 2 picks. I think it's easier to build around a solid 2-pick lineup. And then if you feel adventurous, you can get into the 3, 4, and 5-pick entries, obviously to increase your payouts. But the 2-pick power play is really about just being confident and picking those 2 strong picks that are going to be successful a lot of times. And I know we all have different philosophies. I know you like to go with the stars a lot, Ethan. Yeah. And I go a little bit sort of on those fringe under the radar guys. But I know we all have some different picks today that are going to sort of give us a few different avenues to go on the NBA slate tonight for sure.
Yeah, I like to go with the stars, and I like to go over. I don't like the idea of rooting. It's why I also don't play unders a lot when I gamble. I don't really love the idea of having to root for a guy not to get to a certain number. It feels better to me for the root to get over it. Unless, of course, we have what happened the other night, which is that Nash pulls Durant with 4 minutes left when he had 28 points, and all I needed was 2 more buckets from him, and I would have went over with him. All right, so let's get to tonight. We can get to mine last. Eversole, what do you like tonight?
Well, I'm going to go with a couple sort of those role players. I like Seth Curry, who's actually been really good in that series. He's scored over 20 points a couple times. I like him over 13.5 points in single stat. And another guy who's been sneaky good this whole series against the Clippers, he hasn't had any less than 8 points in any one game, is Royce O'Neal. So I also like him over 7.5 points tonight on the single stat.
All right, Friedman, you getting more adventurous tonight, or are you playing the 2-pick?
I threw 2 in for now, but I know I'll throw in some extra. I actually did what you were talking about, going the fringe guys, and part of that is too, like, the numbers are just a lot lower. Less things can happen, I feel like, the specialty guys. So I went with Herter over on 3-pointers. It's 1.5. Just to go down like the last 3 games. he had last game, he went 1 for 6 and 1 for 5 from 3. But like right before that, he went 8 for 10, 6 for 9. And it looked like that's when they were playing good. I think he gets back into the 3-point game tonight. And for the late game, I went Reggie Jackson over on points. I think it was 14.5. He's been killing it. I mean, he's one of those guys that I kind of don't really enjoy watching. But he's been consistent hitting that 3 and just over on the points. Like, it's annoying to watch, but I got to root for him tonight. I'm going to go there.
Yeah, he's been pretty much a 33% three-point shooter over the course of his career. He was shooting in the mid-40s for the Clippers lately. And to get a win, which I think they are going to get tonight, actually, they're going to need a third guy to step up because you can't always trust their second guy, as we know. All right, I'm going star-related tonight, but I'm going with some single stat categories. I think we're up for another big Embiid game. This feels to me like they can get a stranglehold on this series. I don't really think the Atlanta home court. I know that the Hawks played really well at home this year, but I think Philly can take the 3-1 lead tonight. So I went over with Embiid on the 30.5 points. I think he gets into the mid-30s. It does get a little dicey when you start getting in the 30s. That's why that Donovan Mitchell number scares me a little tonight, that 30.5.
I like the under on him, actually.
I do too, but then, again, I don't know how the ankle is, but the other night, he went scoreless in the first quarter. I think the number was also 30.5 on him, and then he ended up, what he got to 30, guys? I think something along those lines?
Yeah.
30 exactly. Yeah.
He was at 30.5, and I had him that night. And that's actually one of the things I wrote down here was the Mitchell injury. Mm-hmm. We were talking about the board changing throughout the day, and part of it, too, is right now Jeremy Clarkson and Joe Ingles aren't even on the board.
Right.
And my guess is that has to do with the Mitchell injury to see where he's at a little bit later in the day. But, that's a number that I've been jumping at every game over. And right now with the injury stuff, it's like, so I have Bogdanovich here. It was 2 for 10 with 9 points. Like, he's not going to do that again.
Right.
If Mitchell is a little hurt, maybe Bogdanovich does, but I stayed away from the unknown is what I did.
Well, the big numbers with the Stars are risky. We saw that last night. I had Jokic in a power play. Booker went way over, which I projected. Jokic was going to go over on points and everything else, of course, until he got ejected. So, I mean, when you start getting into the 30s, you start getting into 55 on the fantasy score. One little thing can kind of set you off. The other guy I like tonight is Kawhi over, I believe, 7.5 rebounds. I think we're getting close to a Kawhi triple-double game tonight. Feels like, again, they're back in the series. He's typically great when they're down in series. That's been his history. They don't have a ton of rebounding up front right now. I feel I looked at the Paul George 8-rebound number and the Kawhi 7.5 rebound number, and I decided to jump at Kawhi because I expect more consistency there. So I went over on the rebounds for him, over on the points for Embiid. But you can see how this works. You can pair players in different teams. And also, look, if you wanted to bet baseball tonight, you could pair Embiid with a baseball pitcher if you want. There's just pretty much anything that you can do here on the app. So check it as the day goes on. Use that code 5, F-I-V-E. David and David will be here with you during the week. I'll be joining here as well. Make sure that you try it. Look, $20. Play $20. Play it, and give it a shot and just see how it goes for you. And, I think that you guys will, well, I don't want to say the word hooked, but you will get pretty much hooked on it. All right. So, again, Friedman, give them your picks one last time before we leave the door. We'll go out the door.
Yeah, I went Herter over on 3-pointers and Reggie Jackson over on points.
Okay. And Eversole?
I've got Royce O'Neal over 7.5 points on single stat and Seth Curry over 13.5 points. I'll throw in one more. I also like Trae Young over 2.5 threes tonight.
Oh, I like that, actually. That's because I was looking at him over 28.5 points, I think, or 29.5 points, but I like the 3-point number better for him. So you're right, he is due. He's been pretty much shut down from deep. So I would expect a little bit more from him. They've been making him play inside the line. And again, I like Embiid over on points, Kawhi over on rebounds. Use that code FIVE at PrizePicks.com.